Okay, we also welcome all the other devotees today. I'm sorry I'm in a dark place. My camera is of no use today. But welcome all the devotees and thank for their time. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanaşalakaya Chakshurandalitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshakarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratushe Namaha. हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। We are reading today from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2nd, Canto 1st, Chapter 2nd, Text 17. So we'll recite together, or I'll recite and you can repeat at your places. Shanavatam Swakatha Krishna Punyashravana Kirtana Ridyantasto hi abhadrani Vidhunoti suhursatam. Yeah, anyone would like to read the translation?
Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted.
Yeah, thank you. So see the previous verse, the verse number 16th, as you may recollect, it said that how when one comes in contact with some devotees and he has some shraddha, so that's when actually his bhakti begins. Okay. So the previous verse actually talked about Adho Shraddha and Sadhu Sangha. So what happens when he takes the association of sadhus and he renders service unto them? So that's where his devotional service actually begins. So this is the stage where his bhajana kriya begins. Okay. So this verse number 17, this highlights bhajana kriya and anartha nivritti. So there are 9 stages in devotional service. Okay. So the first stage is Adho Shraddha. Adho Shraddha means when a person with some Shraddha, some faith, little faith, okay, Shraddhavan Jana hai, Shraddhavan Jana hai. The person has little faith also and he approaches the Sangha of devotees somewhere. He gets some attraction, okay, maybe to Prasad, maybe to the deities, maybe to the Kirtan. And somehow if he gets attracted to the association of devotees and he spends some time with them, and best is if he renders some service unto them. So what happens is, then some relationship begins with the devotees, and then that inspiration starts coming. The taste for Krishna consciousness starts coming. As we discussed in the previous verse, previous weekend. So previous time when we met. So now what happens when he gets taste for Krishna consciousness? When he gets that inspiration to practice spiritual life, further what happens? So you may recollect the story of Narada boy, whom we as a reference story. So in that story, that's what happens. Like once he got taste for Krishna consciousness in the association of those Bhaktivedanta sages, then automatically the boy Narada, he began the process of Krishna consciousness. And that is what is talked about in this stage. The third line talks about the process, and the fourth line talks about the fourth stage, like what happens by the process. So the process is called Bhajana Kriya. Bhajana Kriya means process. Bhajana means the process of connecting with Krishna through Shravanam Kirtanam. So he begins, that's what this verse is. Shrunavatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana. So the devotee begins the process of daily chanting the holy names, daily doing aratis, and he begins the process of even preaching or rendering seva. So when he begins this process of bhajana kriya, then the fourth stage also starts. As he begins the process, the third stage, that is the process of Shravanam Kirtanam, hearing, chanting. Simultaneously, the fourth stage begins. So the third and the fourth, actually second, third, and fourth stage, they go hand in hand simultaneously for quite long time. And what is the fourth stage? Fourth stage is given in the second line of this verse. Ridyantasto hyabhadrani vidunoti sotsatam. The fourth stage in Sanskrit is called as anartha nivritti. So this third stage and fourth stage, bhajana kriya and anartha nivritti, they are talked about in this verse. Bhajana kriya means, so now I begin the process of devotional service, which is Shravanam, mainly Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Vandanam, Archanam, hmm, those processes. And what is the result by that? Simultaneously, fourth stage begins. Fourth stage is that cleansing of my heart starts happening. So that is given in the second line. Ridyantasto hyabhadrani vidunoti sorsatam. So our heart gets cleansed of almost, so this is a very important word here. It says almost all the misgivings. Why is the word almost used? So when we get in touch with Krishna by the process of this Navavidha Bhakti, this ninefold process, especially Shravanam Kirtanam, so what happens is we start getting purified in our heart. But then the pride of purification also starts. Like I remember when I was in my college, so I used to feel little like, like raising the collars and, oh, I am special, these guys are like, stooped in sense gratification. They're like demons and, those kind of belittling others, not in the sense of envy, but, you know, like ourselves, we consider as special, or actually we should consider ourselves fortunate. Actually, nothing to my glory, but I just got mercy of the devotees and Lord. So that's true. But then when the pride sets in and we start looking down upon others as demons or non-devotees or animals or what not, we can get all those terms in the Shastras or in the ISKCON lingo. So so that is the undesirable side effect of having the purification of heart. Of course, you know, I mean, if like we have to have purification of heart, so we will happily accept that initially, but ultimately we have to fight with that also. What is the how do we counteract that kind of pride which might come? We counteract it by rendering menial services to the devotees. So in Narada boy's case, he and his mother practically, like from day one, they had been rendering menial services to devotees, like washing their clothes, cooking for them, cleaning for them, bringing them palm leaves, dried palm leaves, collecting them from the forest, so that in those days, like they could ride upon it. So very, very menial services actually they rendered to these sages. So so Narada boy actually was kind of already free from this. So he continued those kind of engagements already. So this combination of menial service coupled with very good sadhana bhakti, Shravanam Kirtanam, this leads to the purification of the heart. Okay. So this stage is the longest stage, this third and fourth, Bhajana Kriya and Anarthana Prati. It like goes practically, you can say, out of the 9 stages, this is what takes the 75% of the time and effort. So, so this is the beautiful verse. And in the purport, Prabhupada says, messages of the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, are non-different from him. Whenever, therefore, offenseless chanting, offenseless hearing and glorification of God are undertaken, it is to be understood that Lord Krishna is present there in the form of transcendental sound, which is as powerful as the Lord personally. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in his Shikshashtaka, declares clearly that the holy name of the Lord has all the potencies of the Lord and that he has endowed his innumerable names with the same potency. There is no rigid fixture of time, and anyone can chant the holy name with attention and reverence at his convenience. The Lord is so kind to us that he can be present before us personally in the form of transcendental sound. But unfortunately, we have no taste for hearing and glorifying the Lord's name and activities. We have already discussed developing a taste for hearing and chanting the holy sound. It is done through the medium of service to the pure devotees of the Lord. The Lord is reciprocally respondent to his devotees. When he sees that a devotee is completely sincere in getting admittance to the transcendental service of the Lord and has thus become eager to hear about him, the Lord acts from within the devotee in such a way that the devotee may easily go back to him. Now, this is very special. See, it says, like Prabhupada is telling here, that when the when the Lord sees the sincere devotee, so what happens is he himself cleanses the heart of the devotee from within. See, this is just like Krishna entered the womb of Uttara to save the child Parikshit, isn't it? So Krishna only can do that actually, because Krishna is the absolute Lord. So he personally cleanses our heart. Hmm. So the Prabhupada says here also, and actually many acharyas have also commented directly about this. Yeah. So then in the next paragraph, there is a line. Prabhupada writes there, this is very beautiful realization. Prabhupada says, one cannot enter into the kingdom of God unless one is perfectly cleared of all sins. The material sins are products of our desires to lord it over material nature. It is very difficult to get rid of such desires. Women and wealth are very difficult problems for the devotee making progress on the path back to Godhead. Many stalwarts in the devotional line fell victim to these allurements and thus retreated from the path of liberation. But when one is held by the Lord Himself, the whole process becomes as easy as anything by the divine grace of the Lord. Haribo. So actually, this is very true. Like this, women and wealth, na, they are the greatest risks for a sadhaka. We used to say this like in our college days: wealth, women, and wine. You know, checks you from being divine. Yeah. So of course, in the Western world, I like it's much more difficult actually. It's kind of much more easy, and it's kind of much more difficult. Difficult as in like the whole society is into it, and that is a norm. And easy as in like they know, so much has been, uh, so many endeavors have been put by uh, Western society, like into trying to enjoy all these things, but you know, nobody has been satisfied till now. So, so ultimately, it depends upon the individual, But as Prabhupada says, like if one is very sincere, then what happens is Lord Himself helps, as He promises in the Gita. Yoga Kshemam Vahamyam, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam, Yena Mamapayanti. Lord Himself promises that He Himself will enlighten the devotee's heart from inside as Paramatma and from outside as the spiritual guide, the spiritual mentor, the spiritual master, and thus help the devotee. Then in the last paragraph, Prabhupada writes, to become restless in the contact of women and wealth is not an astonishment. Because every living being is associated with such things from remote time, practically immemorial. And it takes time to recover from this foreign nature. So, previous attachments and hankerings, it might take time. But if one is engaged in hearing the glories of the Lord, gradually he realizes his real position. By the grace of the Lord, such a devotee gets sufficient strength to defend himself from the state of disturbances, and gradually all disturbing elements are eliminated from his mind. So wonderful, isn't it? Yeah. So Krishna will show his grace as we walk through the path of grace, in stages and intervals. Krishna will show those milestones actually. So we have to be sincere in our practice and go ahead. Sometimes it is difficult, sometimes there are ups and downs, but we keep going ahead nonetheless. That's the idea. So, and the formula we have to keep, like, deal with opposite sex as less as possible, as minimum as possible. Even the DT, whether it is DT department service or whatever, whether married or a brahmachari devotee, ultimately, it's like it's the funda is same, the risk is same. So, like that. Okay, so any reflections, Prabhu, or we go ahead?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much for that wonderful discourse. Prabhu, I had that question around like almost you were expanding on that thought, right? Almost cleansing, and you mentioned
Yeah.
there's a tendency of pride even while practicing. So
Yeah.
my question is that it's because of our anarthas that pride arises, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah. That is part of our original pride, Anartha. Yeah, but this is a very specific kind of pride. Like a brahmachari may get proud that, see, I am a brahmachari. This guy is a lowly grahastha. He's simply a sense and joy. He's just taking license basically. Like so many thoughts may come like that. Similarly, a grahastha may think, this fellow, he is actually simply irresponsible guy. Look at me. I am so glorious. I am actually doing both the things. And in fact, on my donation, this guy is actually living his life. Similarly, a person who is like very knowledgeable in the Shastra, so he may also start. Similarly, somebody who is doing a lot of austerity on Ekadashi days, or this thing, bro, somehow or other, it just comes. It's a very unfortunate thing, but somehow this thing always happens. So it's a disease in the conditioned soul. So Shastras say almost everyone, like at some stage or other in his life, or at many stages in his life, he will get some kind of pride. So as we discussed, that the solution for that is that one does menial services. Anyway, I'm just expanding upon it. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, yes, so I think that answers a lot of my queries. But just one small point is that like bhajan kriya is before anartha nivritti. So like then as we are practicing, it is full of these anarthas and faults. So how is that able to get us to a more advanced stage when our practices itself is full of faults?
Okay. Yeah. I was trying to talk about that in the middle while
Oh,
while
okay,
I was
okay.
describing that there are
Yeah.
there are there are these three stages are always together, bro. They are never like they're never like separate from each other. What happens is, you have some shraddha, so you come to sadhu sangha, you come to the association of devotees. In the association of devotees, you naturally get some attraction for devotional service. Then you begin bhajana kriya. As soon as you begin bhajana kriya, anartha nivritti simultaneously begins. So both the stages goes together, bro.
Okay.
Okay. And sadhu sangha also continues, because you cannot do bhajana kriya, process of devotional service, without association of devotees, isn't it?
Yes. Yes. Prabhu.
Yeah. So these three will go together.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for clarifying.
Make sense?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes. Thank you.
Prabhu, Prabhu's hand is raised.
Oh, Hare Krishna Prabhu. I had a quick question. I read this verse about how like we were talking about devotional service, and it mentioned that like out of many thousands of among men, I think this is in the Gita, that only one may strive for perfection, and of those only hardly knows me in truth. When I read it, I felt like devotional service is very hard, and I felt a little demoralizing. Could you explain like how I should approach that verse when it comes to
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, very, very good, very interesting question, in fact. So, Prabhu, what that verse talks about is that uh, that devotional service is very rare. It's not that it is very difficult. Now, why is it rare? You know, just like you see, um, like nowadays, you see objectively speaking, like vegan food and yoga and a very clean or lifestyle, like organic lifestyle, makes a lot of sense. Okay, in many ways. Okay, like socially, environmentally, not just spiritually. Like I'm not even talking about spiritually. So even financially and health wise, still you see most of the people don't go for it. Okay, so why? Because they have attachments to certain type of sense gratification. In fact, if they actually try to taste and practice this life, they will most probably go for it. But they don't even do that. You know. So there is a weakness in people, and that is the nature of a condition. So even materially, they don't go for very good practices. You take like most of the people you see, even materially, they act like penny wise, pound foolish. Okay, so so devotional service is very simple, but it is very difficult. So simple is different thing, and difficult is different thing. Okay, so simple, it's like pretty simple thing. I mean, it's not a rocket science. Like anybody can do it. Okay, you know, but it we make it difficult. We make it complicated for ourselves. Why? Because of our false ego or because of our attachments, to certain types of sense gratification or whatever. And so in that sense, it becomes very rare. And that is what that verse is talking about. That is why we should value those who are practicing it actually. Because it requires humility. It really requires humility. That I am not perfect, that I need someone else in my life. That I'm dependent upon God's grace, that I'm dependent upon devotees association. You know? So actually people think humility, people secretly think in their heart that humility is kind of a weakness. Actually, humility is the greatest strength because then you can make yourselves more complete. Even if you think you're complete, then you can actually uh, complement and supplement yourselves with whatever else is needed to make you better. you know so like that. Does that answer your question, Prabhu?
Yeah, I think that does. It's basically you're saying it's our false ego and our bad habits that makes it hard, not necessarily the process itself.
Yeah, process is simple. Process is very
Mm.
simple. It's simple for the simple, it's complicated for the complicated.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks, Mara.
Yeah. If I'm not wrong, you're the same devotee, like from devotee parents, right? You came to that retreat, Sankalpa retreat.
Sorry, Prabhu. I missed what you
You
said.
are you the same devotee who, I mean, your parents were already devotees,
No.
and you. Okay, okay.
Oh, but yeah, I went to the retreat. Yeah, I think we met there.
Okay, we met there. Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, there is another Yash Prabhu. So this is Jesh Prabhu, Jesh.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
sorry,
mistaking
Prabhu.
him.
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Yash
their
Prabhu.
their voice. Yeah,
Yeah.
their voices also match pretty much. Yeah.
So,
Okay.
thank you, Prabhu, for
So
the.
shall we? Thank you. Shall we cover like one more verse, or what should we do?
Yes, Prabhu. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So see the next verse. Next verse is also a very famous verse, which Prabhupada used to practically recite it even before most of the Bhagavatam classes. नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके Bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. Yeah. Translation, anyone?
By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact.
Yeah. So this verse specifically talks of anarth nivritti, like continuing from the previous one, and it talks about nishtha. This last word, naishtiki. Naishtiki is nishtha only directly. Like he gets firmly rooted, very firmly. This sadhaka or this practitioner gets rooted in the process of devotional service. That is naishtiki. So how does he get rooted? It is given by regular attendance in the classes on the Bhagavatam. So you see, his bhajana kriya and his anarth nivrati is continuing. Okay, and as he like practices, as he deliberately practices the process of devotional service, bhajana kriya, in the association of devotees, and he renders service to the pure devotees. That is very important, to render service to pure. See, when we say pure devotees, it may be pure devotees or their representatives. Ultimately, it should please the heart of pure devotees. So you may be serving with regular devotees, So we may become, array, what is this? These are like not pure devotees. No, if they are following a pure devotee, they are as good as pure devotees. That's the point. And ultimately, pure devotees do get pleased, when they get to know like how other devotees are happy with us, or how we were serving their servants, their representatives. So when they are pleased, and when we are doing our sadhana bhakti properly, like by hearing chanting. In fact, Prabhupada kind of takes, Prabhupada takes that jump by saying regular attendance, although the verse does not say that in Sanskrit. But Prabhupada is kind of giving a translation which is more practical. So by doing these two things continuously, slowly what happens is all that is troublesome to the heart. So what is troublesome to the heart? Anarthas. So this is referring to the completion of anartha nivritti. Okay, it began in the previous stage, and here it is getting completed. So as anartha nivritti gets completed, and it is almost completely destroyed, same thing as in the previous verse, then loving service to the personality of Godhead is established as an irrevocable. Irrevocable means like irreversible, you can say. Practically for all practical, uh, uh, from any practical point of view, one gets totally rooted in bhakti. Like now he will not leave the process. Now it has like entered his DNA. It has entered his system. Like, he has become a seasoned devotee now. So he identifies himself right to the core as a devotee. Not as a American or Indian, not as a grihastha or a brahmachari, like nothing else. Of course, he is aware of all those designations also. He works in the society with all that thing. But at the same time, his primary identity is crystal clear. And his goal of life is absolute. Not like this is also one of the goals of life. No. His priority is this only. Not that this is the top priority. No, this only. So he still has challenges, okay? He still has desires from within. Okay. Like not desires, what do you say? Enjoying mentality is still there. It is not gone. Although the particular the seed desires might have gone. See, what I mean by that is, it is said, kutam. Kutam means the inclination or tendency to sin, the inclination or tendency to do sense gratification. And bijam means specific desire to do sense gratification. For example, I want to enjoy this woman. I want to rob that bank. I want to, like, do some sense gratification. Or I am envious of that person, so I'm greedy about this thing. Or I'm looking for name and fame, that still eludes me. So or I'm trying to subtly prove that actually I am better than these devotees around, so things like that. So these are called it as bijam, like they are specific anarthas, specific desires. So that's what gets over at this stage, but the kutam, the in general tendency to be selfish, the in general tendency to be the enjoyer, the in general tendency, it may not have a particular shape and form, but that in that root is still there, like that. So that will go slowly, slowly. It's a long process, but the more good news is the positive side, that's more important. The positive side is now I am not having any longer any kind of hesitations or reservations or struggle to follow the process of bhakti. I'm rooted in that. Whether someday my mind may cooperate or not, no, but I am like, I'm rooted in that. This is what I'm going to do. This is who I am. That's it. So that is Naishtiki. Like you can see many disciples of Srila Prabhupada, just going on and on and on and on and on, 4 decades, 5 decades, like that, till their death. Rooted, they cannot even think of any other identity or any other way of life. Okay. So, and how did I get that? By those two things, by service to the pure devotee, directly or through the devotees, and by following, simple process of sadhana bhakti. So we may think, what is such a great power in this simple process of everyday chanting, everyday attending Bhagavatam class? That is why our temples are available. Temples, or even our little centers, sometimes devotees living nearby may just gather offline, like even 3 devotees, 5 devotees, or sometimes online, whatever. But these sanghas actually make our bhakti, the effort in our bhakti, very, very fruitful. Because on our own, even that much inspiration is not there, plus that much effect is also not there actually. Because in Kali Yuga, it's about Sankirtan, like together, So that has the power. The more, the merrier. So 1 + 1 11. It's like that. So when we continue to do that, just like even if we want a graduation certificate or a post graduation certificate or a doctorate, you see, we spend so many years studying in a university, following all those assignments and blah blah blah, giving them, shelling out so much money which we later have to pay back to the bank or work hard in a job, right? Even to get like, even to come to the point of graduation, post graduation, even before that you study in all your elementary schools and all that, middle school, and also, so practically just to get those uh, few pages, that so-called degrees, because it hardly makes sense, you just Google it or chat GPT, it just comes. It's not that much, like how much difference does it actually make in the person, but still you spend like almost like 2 decades for it, so which is like almost 1/4 of an average life, even more than that. So then what about the bhakti process? We are talking of purifying our heart of all the dirt, all the contaminations accumulated since time immemorial, and definitely it deserves like at least 3 decades of 4 decades of continuous practice. No, every day, let me devote my morning time to this. This is the process. Whether someday I may like it, someday I may not like it. Someday it may be easy for me to manage in my schedule. Someday it may not be easy. For some, it may be a 2 hours morning program somehow crunched in, and for some, there may be the luxury of having a 4 hours or 5 hours even. you know, Whatever like be the case. But the individual sincerity is what the Lord wants to see. He has not exactly quantified things, but he has definitely principally very clearly specified the process of sadhana bhakti. So when we do that, we regularly hear and chant every day, you know, and we yearn for that purification of heart and realization of Krishna and, attainment of revival of Krishna Prem from within. And at the same time, we render seva to the devotees. Because when devotees bless us, when they are pleased, they bless us. As we discussed the other day, that if a rich man is pleased by our job, then he gives us money because he has a lot of it. So when devotees are pleased, then the pure devotees are pleased. When the pure devotees are pleased, they bestow Krishna prema upon us. And that is how we attain the fifth stage, as mentioned in this verse, which is nishtha. So the third and the fourth stage were in the previous verse, and in the previous to previous verse, which we discussed the previous time, that was there were first and second stages. And this verse talks about the fifth stage, naishtiki, nishtha, being rooted in devotional service. Okay. So Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, yeah. Prabhupada says there are two types of Bhagavatas, namely the book Bhagavat and the devotee Bhagavat. So that's what, how, like this verse says, that you serve the book Bhagavat by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam and by chanting Hare Krishna. And you serve the devotee Bhagavat by serving devotees or by serving the representatives of devotees. And Prabhupada says how book Bhagavat and person Bhagavat are same and one and same, like identical. Why? Not that they are one and same, but in effect they are one and same. How? Because person Bhagavat follows the book Bhagavat in his life very sincerely, and therefore his blessings and the book Bhagavat's blessings are similar. And yeah, so Prabhupada writes in the second paragraph, so by pleasing the devotee Bhagavat, so by pleasing the devotee Bhagavat, one can receive the benefit of the book Bhagavat. Human reason fails to understand how by serving the devotee Bhagavat or the book Bhagavat, one gets gradual promotion on the path of devotion. But actually, these are facts explained by Sri Narada Deva, who happened to be a maid servant. So you know the story already. So whether we understand or not, the principle and the process works too. Yeah, like that. So Prabhupada writes that this is the miraculous effect of the association of the Bhagavatas. And to understand these effects practically, it should be noted that by such sincere association of the Bhagavatas, one is sure to receive transcendental knowledge very easily, with the result that he becomes fixed. So this fixed, becoming fixed. This is nishtha. Nishtha means becoming rooted, becoming fixed, becoming determined. So with the result that he becomes fixed in the devotional service of the Lord. The more progress is made in devotional service under the guidance of the Bhagavatas, the more one becomes fixed in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Yeah. The messages of the book Bhagavat therefore have to be received from the devotee Bhagavat. And the combination of these two Bhagavatas will help the neophyte devotee to make progress on and on. Hari Bol. Therefore, we follow the process of sadhana bhakti in the association of devotees and under the guidance of some senior devotees, so that we can easily actually get fixed, get rooted in devotional service. Yeah. Yeah. So that's pretty much about this verse. Yeah. Any reflections, Prabhu, before we end for today? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Prabhu, I have a question. So, we have so many different devotees who are representatives of Prabhupada as Prabhupada disciples. So, some of them are very strict on Prabhupada's words. Some of them
Yeah.
are little bit lenient. Some of them give more leeway. Uh, so, how do we understand that they are all representing the when there is differences? Some, if you, for
Yeah.
example, uh, how the woman should dress in the temple, or even the male, how should they dress in the temple? That is just one example. Some are very rigid, that this is how devotees should dress. Some are lenient but not so much lenient. Some are very lenient. We have those kind of projects where we have this Krishna lounge or loft where we have people coming. So how do we understand that all of them are following the mood of Prabhupada?
Yeah, very, very good question, bro. And it's a loaded one. Because, this it's in one way kind of a controversial discussion also. But truly speaking, it is one of the most needed things actually. For otherwise, many devotees get confused about this thing in their life. So the good news is though that the answer is pretty simple and it is already there in the Shastra. So simple mantra is though no devotee is an absolute soul. While he is in material world, at whatever stage he has a gross body and a subtle body. Okay, material body as a covering on the soul. Now, what happens is we often think that everything is directly spiritual. No. So, see, if you see, there is no difference in all these personalities. How? Prabhupada explains in one place. Actually, there are no difference of opinion in amongst devotees. So, just before that, Prabhupada had explained that there is difference of opinion even in the spiritual world. So, even in the spiritual world, is Radharani's group and Chandravali's group, and even amongst the gopis there are differences. Okay, but Prabhupada says in one sense there is no difference. How? Because they all want to please Krishna. It's like, for example, say all the devotees are planning to celebrate Narsing Chaturdashi, its upcoming festival. So let us please Narsimhadev, let us please all the devotees, let us have a grand festival, Hari Bol. So everyone agrees. This is absolute. Yeah. This is spiritual. This is totally spiritual. And this is principle. Now in details, they will have differences of opinion. Prabhu, let us make the grandest feast for Narsimhadev. Let us offer him like 251 items. No, Prabhu, you're always talking about this bhoga and this and that. With from bhoga we get roga. So let us have the grandest kirtans. This time 24 hours kirtan for Narsimhadev. And the third person, Prabhu, Narsimha means yagya. You know, don't you know about Mayapur and this and that? So you see, these are differences of opinions based on swabhava. Swabhava is an uh, acquired nature which is only pertaining to the material body and mind. Okay, so one's mind is purified by following the acharya, but still, like a male is male and a female is female. So female may talk, female may be a great devotee, but still she will have some feminine qualities, right? Feminine thoughts and all that. So Krishna sees the love behind her offering also. So Krishna is happy about it. So amongst men also, you may find that uh, they may principally they will always agree. We have to please Prabhupada, we have to preach. Now how to preach? Somebody made like Vaishika Maharaj may say book distribution. And some other Prabhupada disciples may say, no, congregation outreach. Someone may say, no, Prabhu, like festivals, like in the Maharaj's festivals of India and all that. And someone may say youth preaching. So these are Prabhu details. Okay. So what we do in such cases is two things we do. One is we don't offend anyone. So we understand that they are all. Prabhupada was a personality with many facets, just like Krishna is a personality with many facets. He comes as Vishnu also, and there are devotees of Lord Vishnu, right? There are devotees like he comes in all the four sampradayas and so many avatars. And there are devotees who get attracted to particular form of the Lord, particular avatar of the Lord. So there is no competition or there is no gradation like that from an absolute point of view. So we all love each other and we all respect each other in that sense. We understand that ultimately everyone is for Krishna's pleasure. And we don't, while we are very happy to offer, all sweets to Krishna, we also respect that somebody else is offering some salty savories to Krishna. you know, that is also pleasing Krishna. That is also authentic. Okay, as long as it is not sinful, it is there in parampara and the shastra, so it's fine. But we may feel more for a particular way of like, so that is fine. And in our personal life, what we try to do practically, we follow one person. So we follow our authorities. Prabhupada has made us, Prabhupada is our acharya, whose words are as good as Krishna's words. So Prabhupada says you follow your authorities because Krishna has placed us, in certain place, in certain association, and we are receiving that mercy from those devotees. So we follow them. And at the same time, there's nothing wrong in expressing that Prabhu, can I also do this? This will also add to our temple, or so we can try to seek their blessings. If we feel that, like in terms of services, can we also do this, that, okay, like that. Now, when it comes to opinions for like certain ideologies, say about women, how much they should be allowed, they should not be allowed in certain services or certain things, as you particularly asked in the question. So, Prabhu, it's best that we follow the Acharya. Acharya says, GBC. GBC is the ultimate authority. And for a devotee, he is spiritual master also. So, we follow a combination of both. So, in practical, institutional, and social terms, we follow the GBCs. And in our personal heart, we may follow our spiritual master, our spiritual father. So we may keep those faiths and those teachings very close, very sacred to our heart, and externally we follow the GBCs, with loyalty, with submission, with obedience, because they are representing the Acharya, and Acharya made it crystal clear. So this keeps us faithful and loyal to our spiritual master, and this also keeps us united with the local devotees and the GBCs. And most of the time, it just matches actually. Even if it does not match, then as we discussed, we should understand very, very honestly in our heart. Actually, both of them are trying to please Krishna, just different Swabhava. So even in spiritual world, Chandravali and Radharani, it's always like there are two camps. And Krishna loves both the flavors. Krishna loves so many more flavors actually. It's like, variety is the mother of enjoyment. So Krishna understands the purpose behind it. So there, you may even find there are devotees who are what do you call it? Conservation. How do you call it? Conservatives, yeah. Not conservationists. Conservatives, yeah. And there are devotees who may be more tradition, who may be more like accommodating.
Yes.
Yeah, liberal, accommodating and all. But ultimately, both of them are trying to please Krishna, and both the pramanas are there in the Shastras. So the bottom line is, Prabhu, there are many rights in Krishna consciousness. That's the beauty of Krishna consciousness. There are many flavors, there are many rights. As long as they are right in their attitude and their purpose. As long as they are right in having the backing in the Shastra. So does it answer your question, Prabhu? Does it help?
Yes, Prabhu, it is very helpful. I also heard Vaisheshika Maharaj quoting Prabhupada. Somebody was asking why there are so many differences in
Yeah.
spiritual organization, our ISKCON. Then Prabhupada said it is not difference, it is variety.
Yeah. Same.
So,
Yeah.
as you said, in even in spiritual world, they have variety, different ways to serve Krishna. But it's variety. It's not.
Yeah. And we also appreciate that everybody, even while being here, is not exactly a pure devotee right now. So he has a Swabhava also. But if that Swabhava he's trying to use in Krishna service, then we are okay with it. We have to align. Tomorrow somebody will be aligning with you also, bro. The parampara goes on, But if we as seniors tomorrow can become more flexible, more malleable, more accommodating, then that's even more beautiful. Then we can encourage the younger generation in a much happier way. So that's more sheltering actually. So as a society also, we have to see that ISKCON is evolving, as an institution, as a society. It's evolving for better and better and better. And our seniors have done so much great job of bringing it up to this point. Now it's up to us how we take it ahead and beautify it better. So they have done great things, and they have also done some mistakes or some what do you call it? Some rooms for improvement might be there. Yeah, that's okay. They were also humans trying to do their best. So it's our responsibility and our great opportunity. How do we take it further? From here. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for answering for asking such a beautiful, very practical question. Actually, vital. Okay, bro. Thank you so much for all of your time and attention. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
His Grace Acyuta Mohan Prabhu ki Jai. Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. It's worth doing anything for.